Hey guys, how is it going? Welcome back to another tutorial for Film of on.cz. Today I want to show you some compositing technique. We will try to recreate this animation. So let's get started. So here we are in After Effects. First let's have a look at what have we here. So I have a background which is just a still picture. Then I have a dust and hairs folder which includes some dust picture, hair, and a video of a dust. Next folder is a dust layers. I will tell you later on what is this for, but as you can see these are quite small pictures of various type of dust. We will use these to simulate some flying dust using Trapcode particular. Another folder is a character. This is actually our character animation exported from Maya. We have a shadow which is not visible right now, but I can switch the transparency on and you can see now the shadow. So this is another pass. Then we have a remote control which has some depth. And remote control ambient occlusion, and remote control diffuse pass. Let's drop this animation in here to create new composition of the same length as the animation is. And just to make an order, I will put my composition out of this folder. And we can call it final comp. Great. I will hit Ctrl K to see the settings. So we have final comp, it's full HD 1920 to 1080 and frame rate 25. I will leave it as it is. So this is our animation, and now it's very simple. I just need to drop a shadow beneath this. So as you can see now, the character has a shadow. Then I have this remote control, so I will use this remote control, and I have some background which I will use and probably scale down. And that's it, we have the compositing. So thanks for watching, that's all, and see you next time. Bye. I was just thinking maybe we can make it better. So what can we do? We can add some depth of field. Definitely we can put some dust in here for not to have it so clear, and probably that flying dust would be nice to have it. Okay, so let's start with pre-composing this remote control. So hit the remote control diffuse, composition, layer, pre-compose, and let's call it remote control pre-comp, control pre-comp, fine, and open it. So this is our remote control, and we will use ambient occlusion as well on top of it. and set the transfer mode to overlay. Not overlay, sorry, but multiply. Where is it? Here. By hitting T, we will reveal the opacity parameter, and we can choose how much this ambient occlusion should affect the diffuse pass. It's really up to you. I will leave it probably somewhere, let's say 60%. Great. Let's close the pre-composition and let's have a look at our final comp. Let's switch all the other layers off. Let's switch the transparency off. And now we can see there is a slight line around our pre-composition. We will apply a matte choker, simple choker. So go to matte and choose simple choker and choke it somewhere. Or 0.9 is fine. Great. Now add our background. Fine. This is just still picture. I'll move it down because I want this light to be in frame. Great. And maybe I will color correct the remote control. So go to remote control layer, color correction, curves. I will put it on top of the simple choker, but it really does not matter. And I don't want it so bright, so I will push it down. And maybe not too much blue. And maybe red. Click here, and just the midtones of red. I'm using these extremes just for you to see what is going on. I want more red in that button. Yeah, something like this. So this looks fine to me. Okay, and now we can start compositing. So we have our shadow and our character. By the way, this animation was made by my friend Libor Pizza. You can visit his website liborpizza.cz. Very talented animation director, so check his page. Okay, so let's try to work on this environment. I will switch the character and the shadow for a moment off, and I will add some other elements. So let's start with some dust. For example, this one. This is just still picture. We just need to mask some area out. So take this pen tool, switch the visibility of the layer off for a moment, and just roughly make some mask. And switch it on again. Great. So hit MM and feather the mask out, something like this. 25 should be alright, and choose the transfer mode to soft light. Now we can lower the opacity. We don't need the dust to be so visible. Maybe something like 50%, maybe 60, 75, okay, 70, 74. And let's add another element. We have these hairs, so let's put in here, hit V to switch to selection tool, and place it probably somewhere in here. We'll bring the opacity to 50% just for a moment. I'm sorry, just for a moment to be able to see through. So I will scale it down and try to rotate it. Yeah, something like this. Maybe scale it more, maybe. Yes, and I can leave it as it is. Go back to 100% and set the transfer mode to screen. So now our hairs sit on our environment, and maybe we will color correct it for not have it so wide. So go to color correction, curves, oh sorry, color correction, curves, and go to blue channel and go slightly down, maybe red up. Yes, I think we can leave it as it is. Okay, so let's try to think about that flying dust. So I have some video of flying dust, which I can put in here. I will probably need to select just the area, the top part. Set the transfer mode to maybe screen. Feather the mask by hitting F and feather the mask. Maybe hit MM, and max expansion put to negative value, something like this. And as you can see, it's too much of dust. So color correction, levels, something like this maybe. Go to blue channel. I will solo this layer. Red, blue. Now we have nice environment with flying dust. The only problem is that you can see the dust is in our character or over our character, and that needs to be repaired. But it's quite easy. We just copy the character and set track matte to alpha inverted matte. Now it should be okay. Okay, now as you can see, there is too much of the dust, so we need definitely to lower the opacity. But I think it looks okay. So let's lower the opacity. 20%, yes, I think must be enough. It's still visible. It is there. Okay, now I want to show you another technique, because maybe you don't have this dust footage. So I want to show you how to make it with Trapcode particular. So switch this dust off for a moment and let's create new layer, new solid, particular. I call it particular, make comp size fine, okay. So this is a particular. And go to effect, Trapcode, particular. So this is it, let's solve it. And one more thing we have to do, and now it's time to tell you what these dust layers are for. Just choose all of them. I click on the first one, holding shift select the last one, so all of them are selected, and drop them to this icon to make a new composition, single composition. Still duration is just 1 frame long, and we want a sequence layer. And what it does a composition, new composition, 6 frames long, with all our dust in it, and every picture lasts just 1 frame. And as you can see, some of them goes out of the border, out of the composition. So let's enlarge the composition by hitting Ctrl K, and let's say 30 to 30. Now should be everything in frame. Yes. And we have this dust pre-comp, and we move it just in here, and we can turn its visibility off because we don't need it. And now let's set up our particular. First, let's create a camera, layer, new camera, 36mm, I think should be okay. And let's work on it. So first of all, emitter. Let's emit, go to the beginning, and let's emit, I don't know, 1500 of particles, and make a keyframe. Press page down to go to next frame and set this amount to 0. Hit U. So now, as you can see, we are emitting 1500 particles on one frame, this one, and on another frame there is a 0 particle emitted. And now let's grab this layer and go, I'm doing this, and let's go in here. So the first frame is somewhere in here. And as you can see, the particles are moving. That's because of their speed. We will change it. So this was the first. So we set the particles per second. Emitter type, we will change to box. Position Z, maybe something like this, 690, and velocity go to 0, or not, go to some low value, something like 15. Now we need to set the emitter size, and this should be really big, so let's say to 2200. too much. Maybe just something like this, because we need to fill just the upper part. And Z, yes, we need the depth, so this can be really high number, 9000. Why not? Okay, move on. So this was emitter, now the particles. So we need definitely change the life of the particles to what is the composition length. It's 7, maybe 8, so we can write 15 seconds, doesn't matter actually. And particle type, yes, this is interesting. Now we will use our precomposition finally. So let's change this particle type to textured polygon. And for this texture we will choose our dust precomp and random still frame. Rotation, maybe rotation speed, maybe we can rotate them in this axis, but some very low numbers, so just go 0.1, so they are rotating in this axis. We can't rotate them in this axis because now we can see they are flat, and in y-axis it's the same, so just the z-axis. And size, maybe we can increase it a little bit. And now go to physics. So this was particle setting, and go to physics, air, and we need to set up some wind in x-axis. Let's play it. Yes, this is okay. And maybe this one as well. Yes, let's say 10. So let's preview it. Yes, I think it's okay. And now we have to set a turbulence field, and we want to affect the position of the particles. So try 20, for example. Preview it again. I think it's okay. And now we need to just set our world rotation 1 probably, but I need to sim the remote. So as you can see, I'm just trying to simulate the perspectivity. So 1. Y rotation actually does not matter too much, but let's leave it like this. So unsolo the remote control precomp, and the final adjustment, go to emitter and position it. Something like this, maybe. Yes. I think can be okay. So you can color correct these particles as well. So go to color correction, curves, and like always we will change the blue channel, will go down, and red channel, and probably the green one. That's too much. This looks okay. And of course we need to do the same thing as we did with this footage. We need to track mat it. So copy the character, Control D, move it in here and set the track mat of the particular layer to alpha inverted mat. Now it's visible only behind our character. And as well, it's visible, I think, too much, so we need to lower the opacity by hitting T and change this parameter. Something like this. And now the fun part. We need to add some depth of field. That's why we have this depth layer. So drag it into our composition and pre-compose it. Layer, pre-compose, and let's call it depth pre-comp. Move all attributes, actually doesn't matter because we have no attributes in it. Double click on it and go inside. Well, we have a character included in this set depth, but we don't want to use it. So let's find some frame where there is no character in it. This one. Select the layer, go to time, and freeze frame. Great. And yes, I'm sorry, probably because this is a transparent background, we need to go to layer, new, solid, choose the black one and put it below. Okay. Select some nice frame where the main action is taking place. For example, this frame. We don't need to see it, so just for sure, switch it off and make layer, new, adjustment layer, which will be our depth of field. And we will put it just below the character, between character and shadow. And this will affect all these layers below. And we don't want it to affect character, but we want to affect its, character's shadow. Okay, go to Frischluft depth of field. Very, very useful plugin for creating depth of field. And what we want to set is just highlight selection, enable, iris. I like to use 7 facets and rounded facets. I usually set to 0. And now the fun part, just depth layer. Select our depth pre-comp and select the depth. So usually the eyes. And now just set the radius. So let's go 30. It calculates, and there is some mistake. That's because I haven't chosen the eyes, but I click on the black area because our character is not included in our depth map. So what I have to do is to select, for example, place which our character is standing on. It is something in here. It's probably in here. So now we have nice depth of field. Maybe it's not enough. Yes, something like this is fine. Great, I think it's okay. If you want to be precise, you probably will solo your camera and particular, set them to 100% and set the camera depth of field on as well. Depth of field is on. Aperture. Yes, and I want to be very close, so somewhere around here. And now lower the aperture to 50 pixels, and that's it. Unsolo these layers. And here we are. Of course, we need some color correction. So create layer, new adjustment layer. I will set the resolution to half for a moment because this depth of field takes some time to render. And let's color correct our image. So hit enter, color correction, and start with curves, of course. So let's make it brighter a little bit. Yes, this is fine. Maybe I will add a tint effect. Another curves. I will make a slight S curve. See the difference? And make some adjustment in red and blue colors. So red channel, go somewhere in here, and blue channel as well. So now I have this warm greenish look. Now I will probably add a photo filter, warming filter, and tint effect again. But just a little bit, 10% maybe. And now finally would be nice to have some noise covering whole frame, and the noise really helps connect all the parts together. So we will use just this simple noise with 3% of amount of noise. Switch to full resolution to see what we have actually. As you can see, we have a nice picture. Let's add some vignetting, because this is a macro shooting, so probably there should be some vignetting visible. So go layer, new, solid, black solid, call it vignette. Choose this ellipse tool, double click on it. This is just routine because you definitely know this. Subtract. I will switch the depth of field for a moment off. Hit MM, feather it. But I will lower the opacity. And I will put it below the color correction. So the vignette is color corrected as well, and we have the noise on it. Okay, so that's all. I hope you can find this tutorial useful. Just let me know, and don't forget to check my website filmophone.cz, and stay tuned for another tutorial. Bye.